I've been given strict instructions that everybody's supposed to let their hair down, loosen up those ties, because we're going to have a good evening. So when I say apostle, you say house. Apostle? House. Apostle? House. When I say 40th, you say anniversary. 40th? Anniversary. I know that's long. 40th? Anniversary. Awesome. My name is Darnell the Brand. I'm going to be your host for tonight's festivities. Again, we thank you so very much for joining us. We're so excited as the Apostle House celebrates its 40th anniversary. We have a lot of things in store for you. Let's give it up for the Apostle House. One good time. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to announce and welcome our Executive Director of the Apostle House, Nadege Duvernay. She's going to come up and she has a few words for you.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Is it good evening time? Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome, everyone, to our VIP cocktail hour. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and support the Apostles House. 40 years is not 4 days. It's not 4 months. 40 years is a long time to provide support to people that need it. So before we get started, I am honored today to introduce you to Miss Sherry Frazier. She is a mother who has overcome adversity with grace and determination. Miss Frazier came to the Apostles' House nearly 20 years ago. She was met with compassion and support from the staff of the Apostles' House, who provided her with resources and assistance, the assistance that she needed to rebuild her life. She took advantage of those services and worked tirelessly to build a brighter future. Join me in welcoming Miss Frazier as she shares her journey with you all this evening.
Hello, everyone. Love and light, peace and blessings, and all those good salutatory greetings. My name is Sherry, as Miss Dejanay told you. I was just talking to a familiar face. It was Gary. I kind of recognized him. I'm a native of Newark, New Jersey, and as she explained to you that I came through the Apostle House, and it was actually like 28 years ago. I lost the housing that I had, and I had an 8-year-old son at the particular time, and I was just reflecting about the homeless services that they had available then. It was a traveling shelter system that they had. I didn't qualify to go into a stable hotel system that they offered at the time. We used to call it like the Stinking Lincoln, partly, but that's what we called it. The Lincoln Hotel that transitioned into a shelter. So I would have to meet this van through public assistance, and it would take me and my 8-year-old son to church basements, right? And I think I was just in the auditorium listening to someone reflect about what churches participated with the Apostle House, and I was reminiscing about, I think I stayed in the basement of that church, and I stayed in the basement of that church, and real simple, my journey, I ended up at the Apostle House, which gave me a sense of stability for about 6 months or so, me and my 8-year-old son, at the time, and there we had community kitchens and things to do, and our duties or whatever, and I was grateful that I didn't have to live out in the streets, and it's tough when you don't have your own, even having to turn to family and ask for some type of assistance. And I was caught up in a system that really wasn't a lot of assistance. They told me I was educated enough that I had a marketable skill that I didn't qualify for some other public assistance, right? So and then they allowed me maybe $332 a month for assistance for me and my son, and we were supposed to have paid out of that money's living expenses, which is housing and any other things we needed, and then they gave me food stamps, and I couldn't afford to live anywhere other than a shelter. I remember thinking to myself, I really want to improve my circumstances, and I always intended on improving my circumstances. At that particular time, I think I was hastily trying to get my son to school or pick him up or whatever, and I was catching a cab, in the midst of all of it, and the cab driver said, well, when I get situated and get out of this shelter, I'm going to, get myself together and get a job. And he said, why don't you start now? Now, at that particular time, I had a high school education and a certification, but not a lot of work experience. And for whatever reason, the light came on just then for me, and what he said to me kind of stuck, and I started, with a vengeance, just pursuing, more high levels of education, bettering my circumstances, And things started to unfold for me. It wasn't easy, but I was more driven and ambitious to do anything. Like, I just didn't want to stay in another shelter. You know, my story is I can say that I've probably stayed in most of the family shelters in the city of Newark in that 2-year time until I was able to get a little situated, you know. But in my struggles, I was able to go back to school and get an associate's degree while working, you know, and taking care of some, you know. And not just the associate's degree, I was able to go back and get a bachelor's in social work, you know. The associates was in addiction, you know. Then I was able to go to school to get my master's in social work, you know. That wasn't it, because all during I was getting a certification. Like, I'm crazy, right? I often tell people I had 3 jobs. They like, 3 jobs, right? Because I never want to be homeless again. I never want that to be my situation again. So like, it's ironic, and I work with the same population where I came from, you know, by providing social services and addiction, and I'm a domestic violence advocate, and I'm a registered dental assistant, and I'm a certified alcohol drug counselor, and I'm a certified gambling counselor. I'm a lot of things, right? So like, if I say anything, like, it's just for inspiration and stuff. Like, I tell people that, like, have my journeys that's caught up in my struggles, don't fall back, fall forward and stuff, you know, don't let your past dictate your future, right? You're capable of doing all things and stuff, and just have some faith, you know, and just go for what you know. Like, just don't stop, and be intentional about wanting to do better. You know, that's the message I just want to give. That's all.
Thank you so very much. Don't fall back, fall forward. I like that. That's my new Instagram handle. All right, guys, we want to treat this a VIP experience also as a networking event. And I know that if you look around the room, I'm sure you don't know everyone here. Who knows everyone in the room? No one, that's right. So we're going to treat this as a VIP experience and a networking event. Now, when you walked in, you guys were given name tags, and instead of your names, you actually wrote something down that relates to you. And this wind is really strong. It's going to take my hair off. Oh my goodness. All right, so you guys were given a name tag, and on that name tag, you wrote something that relates to you. So I want you guys to walk around the room, find someone that you do not know, and introduce yourself with that word that is on your name tag. Okay, does everybody understand? You guys are going to be exchanging stories, exchange IG handles, add them as a Facebook friend. You guys are making a new connection tonight. You guys have about 10 minutes to do so. So we're going to say in about 5 minutes, I'll give you guys a warning. But if you don't do it, you're going to be in trouble, because I'm going to randomly select 2 people to come up to tell me what connection they made. Okay, so I want you to walk around the room. You guys have 10 minutes. Find someone that you do not know. Use the word that is on your tag, okay?
All right. I'm just going to ask for everyone's attention. It is with great pleasure to introduce you all to the Honorable Mayor Raj J. Baraka of the City of Newark. I know that we're in Union, Mayor. Mayor Baraka is a dedicated public servant who has worked tirelessly for the betterment of his community. One of his primary concerns in the city is homelessness, and he has been a strong advocate for organizations such as the Apostles House. Apostles House has been providing critical services to the Newark community for 40 years, and Mayor Baraka has been a steadfast supporter of our work. He understands the importance of the Apostles House in addressing the complex issues of homelessness and poverty. And he has been vocal to making sure that all of the efforts that we do matter. Tonight, we honor you, Mayor. Thank you so much for joining us. The Mayor will be sharing some thoughts of the work of the Apostles House and the City of Newark. His leadership and commitment to serving the people of Newark is truly inspiring. I live in Newark. My kids go to Newark's public schools, Newark schools, and I am proud of your administration and what you have been able to do in the City of Newark. I would like to thank you, Mayor Baraka, for your dedication to Newark and your support of the Apostles House. The passion for helping those in need is evident in everything that you do. And we are fortunate to have you as a champion for our cause. Please help me welcome the Honorable Mayor Raj J. Baraka.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Excuse me for being a little late. I've been running around a lot lately, more than usual. but you know, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Obviously helping to honor, celebrate, lift up the Apostle House and the work that you guys have been doing in the city for a very, very, very long time. We appreciate you. You are a partner of ours, particularly around women and families who have more of a difficult time finding shelter, transitional housing opportunity when crisis hits. Most of the sheltering is usually for single folks, people that are by themselves, mostly men for the most part, you know, occupied mostly by that, and women struggle to find shelter when crisis and difficult times hit them. And women and children are even more, I find even more difficult to find opportunity and transition and support. So the work that Apostles House does is critical and crucial work. It's important work that needs to be funded, needs to be supported because we need it to be expanded. And it's unfortunate that we have to expand it, given that we live in one of the richest nations in the world. But the housing and the housing cost in New Jersey, specifically in America in general, is growing and becoming more and more out of control, unmanageable even. The concept of affordable housing, of what we once thought, we thought of people who lived in affordable housing, that's completely gone. The idea of what affordability is all up and down the spectrum. There are all kind of people who now need affordable housing. Whether you're talking about kids that are coming home from college, trying to start a family, who can't afford a home because the homes are $500,000–600,000 to $1 million on average, who can't afford to find an apartment. So they go to apartments that are building in communities like Newark, and they take units, and so the market, you know, caters to them, and they take units, and then there are other people who are below that, and even more below that, who don't have units, who find themselves in homelessness, one paycheck away, 2 paychecks away from a problem, or a healthcare emergency away from a problem. God forbid they have a healthcare emergency and the rent is due, and they have to make a decision to deal with this healthcare emergency or deal with an issue with their child, and the rent is past due, and they're evicted at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the evening. They have to now find a place to live. Or maybe they're in the YMCA and they have an issue there, and they're outside in the street. These are very real things that I'm talking about. So maybe they're outside and they're looking for a place to go or stay. We rely heavily on places like the Apostle House. We rely heavily on them to help us take people off the street, because nobody deserves to be on the street. I had the pleasure to be in Paris, international homeless event, talking to mayors all over the world. And one of the things that they were perplexed about is why in the United States we're having this argument about whether it's okay for people to sleep on the street, why we should be making it comfortable for people to sleep on the street. So we're arguing about, should people have a tent or not? And what they're trying to fathom is, why are we even discussing people on the street? We should be discussing, how do we get them into housing? How do we create transitional housing? How do we create rapid rehousing, right? Not just sheltering, but rapid rehousing, transitional housing. What is the passageway from homelessness back into shelter, back into housing? That's what we should be discussing, using our resources, our money, our leverage, our support, our prayers, our institutions to get people off the street, from under bridges, right? From outside of folks' homes, and move them into housing. And we're trying to be as creative as we can. In Newark, we using container homes to create sheltering in the city with the help of NJIT and PNCT from Port Newark. You know, we've opened up our own shelters. We've put more resources out in the street. We created these kind of outreach teams that are doing the best that they can to pull people off of the street, which last year helped us in reducing street homelessness by 57%. Because our task force have been out in the street talking to people, moving them into shelters. Now, when a place like Apostle House doesn't have any space, then we can't move them in there. That's just right. So if our outreach workers go to the street, they go downtown Newark, say, let's get you off of the street, we have an app, a phone service that you could text, Path Home, 85511, and people will come out and respond. But if they respond and there's no place for them to go, then we can't get them off of the street. That's why it's important to have places available, right? And we're working hard to make more places available, more family places available. Because whether you know it or not, everybody that's homeless doesn't have a drug problem. Everybody that's homeless, right, is not mentally disabled. Everybody that's homeless, you know, doesn't have the kind of stereotypical ideas that we have in their head. Some of these people are families who are coming across difficult times, who need our support and our help, maybe for a few months, maybe for a year or 2 years to figure out how to get themselves back on their feet. And the last thing I'll say is that we use housing first model. That means that we're not on the street forcing people to get off of the street. What we're doing is talking to people and trying to get them in shelter first. Once we get them in shelter, then we can talk to them about their job. Then we can talk to them about drug addiction if they have that. Then we can talk to them about mental health. Then we can talk to them about care for their children. But you have to get them in a shelter first. You can't have this discussion on the street and make people feel uneasy about going where you go. They know that we establish a relationship with them, that we want them to be in housing first. Once you get indoors, then we can help you with all the other issues that you may be working out or trying to work out yourself. So look, if you're here supporting the Apostle House, you're in the right place. If you have a big bank account, then you should probably support. And look, they didn't pay me or tell me to do this or any of these things. I'm saying this because I'm closer to the problem. Because I'm closer to the problem, I know what the solutions look like. And I know that if we don't have no place to put people, then we can't get them off the street. And our first effort is to get people off the street. And once they're off the street, then we can provide services for them. I know you don't like to see people on the street. A lot of people don't like to see people on the street. They just don't like us to house them in their neighborhood. People always tell me, you're bringing homeless people to my neighborhood. And I always tell them the homeless people are already in your neighborhood.
That's right.
You just have not put shelter for them. They sleep in everywhere around your neighborhood. You're ignoring them, but they're there. So we want to collectively figure out this homelessness problem in the state of New Jersey. We can do it. It's possible. We have the will, the strength, the resources, the collaboration to make it happen. And I want to thank the Apostle House for the work that they've been doing. We appreciate you in the city of Newark. And prayerfully, we can expand it and grow it and grow it and grow it. God bless y'all. Thank you for being here this evening.